This Thursday night football prop bets and DFS picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by SGPN Fantasy. They're giving away an autographed DeAndre Swift jersey and a merch store gift card. Get all the details by following them on Twitter at SGPN Fantasy.
Hey, this is Pac-Man Jones. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan. Real money, Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Football. I mean, should we address the elephant in the room?
Sure, go for it.
I don't know if it's worth talking about. I'm on a heater.
Yes.
I'm not a superstitious guy. You are. It makes you uncomfortable to talk about it, so we should just address it. We have not. You have not missed a dog this year. I have not missed a lock.
I'm 4-0 on moneyline dogs. Kramer 8-0 with NFL locks,
which some say maybe has never happened before. Has 4 weeks into an NFL season,
clean slate. I don't recall anything like that. We are experiencing historic times, Ryan. We got a great show for you today. Up first, we got Joe Fann talking Thursday night props and Wynn build your own bet, aka some sweet same game parlays for the Thursday night game. And then we are joined by Dave Heilman at Dynasty Dorks talking week 5 NFL DFS Millie Maker lineups. Let's go, baby.
Sounds exciting.
It is, Ryan.
No, I was there. Yeah.
I was. Speaking of exciting, have you signed up for WynnBET? What are you doing? Come on. We just SGPN historic number of downloads. Why? Because we got great sponsors like WynnBET. Bet big, win bigger. Bet $100, get a $100 free bet. I mean, who doesn't want a $100 free bet? SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBET. If you're in the state of Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia, get over on WynnBET. I'm going to be in Arizona 2 days from now. I now only travel to WynnBET states, so it just makes my vacation better. But I know I have access to WynnBET, that sweet parlay wheel. We'll be spinning that thing all weekend long. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBET. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at WynnBET.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where WynnBET is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Also brought to you by Fubo TV. That's right, Fubo TV. College and pro football, plus the NFL Red Zone. If you like football, and obviously you do, you're gonna love Fubo TV. Hundreds of channels of live sports and entertainment for the fraction the price of cable. Best part is no contract, no commitment, cloud-based DVR. They got you covered, and you can try for free for 7 days. You're not going to need the free trial because you're going to like it. Fubo TV. That's FUBOTV.com/SGP. 15% off your first month. And again, 15% off your first month, 7 free days, college, NFL football live. What more could you want? Just head over to FUBOTV.com/SGP. Joining us on the line, WynnBET brand ambassador, Mr. Joe Fann. What's happening, Joe?
What's up, fellas? Great to see you guys. How we doing?
Doing good. And you were before the show kicked off, you're complimenting my Philadelphia Eagles, saying what a great time to be an Eagles fan. Certainly is. And you were
like your daughter got married or something. Like congratulations on the
last undefeated team, Ryan, 4-0.
It felt really East Coast, like congratulations on the good fortune for your family.
Exactly. And then you were also making a pretty solid case for the Jags. What's your take on the Jags so far this season?
They're a fun team. I mean, it's amazing how low the bar was for Doug Peterson. Just like competency was really all he had to get to because it was such a dumpster fire with Urban Meyer. Like you think back to last year, you can't overstate how bad it was. Like he was justifiably fireable in like October. Like it was that bad. And so now you see the immediate strides from Trevor Lawrence. You see the defense that's fast. You see the blue chip talent that's there. When you can lose on the road in one of the toughest places to play in a slot fest, it was a rainy day, ugly weather, and you turn the ball over 5 times and you lose by 8. You got to feel pretty good about yourself. It could have been 21-0. It's 14-0 and Trevor Lawrence overthrows Jamal Agnew. That's not to take away from the Eagles win because I think they were very impressive as well. And I could sing their praises for an hour as well. But I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are very much for real.
And Jason Kelsey now has both a top podcast and an autographed warm-up jacket of the future coach of the year, Doug Peterson. So
wow. I wasn't as high on the Jags. I just thought, what
did Brandon Jacobs tell us about the jersey swap? Soft move by Kelsey.
I wasn't as high on the Jags overall, but I said the one future bet I do like is Doug Peterson coach of the year. Cause if they do come out and play well, or if they sneak into the playoffs, or if they somehow win the division, him to win coach of the year, I think was like the best value at like 15-16 to 1. So interesting season so far. What about your Seattle Seahawks? Got to win against Detroit. It turned out
Gino's cooking.
Gino, winning people $1 million in DFS. It was the first game to put up 100 points so far this season. What's your early take on this Seahawks team? Kind of been all over the map so far.
Yeah, it's funny. I mentioned the word competency when talking about the Jaguars. There wasn't any level of defensive competency in that game between the Lions and the Seahawks. I think it was like a collective 8.5 yards per play, over 1,000 total yards. It was absurd, but it was a lot of fun. I don't know if there's ever been a more wildly entertaining team that's 1-3 than the 2022 Detroit Lions. I mean, every single game they were 3-0 against the spread going in, and then they lose in the shootout to the Seahawks. But what fun that was! 48-45. It's like a Big 12 game.
Yeah, they're leading in points scored and points allowed.
Can I make a bold prediction? They will cover every time they're a dog, and they won't cover when they're a favorite. That's just what this team is.
Gotta avoid them as a favorite.
Covering Campbell, he bites kneecaps and covers spreads. This Seahawks team, they're going to be fun in spurts. They don't play a lick of defense, but offensively, there's enough there when you look at an offensive line that they invested a couple of picks in that both Abe Lucas and Charles Cross as their new rookie tackles have looked really good. That offensive line has been a top 10 team in terms of pass protection all year long. I think everyone's overreacting a bit to the Lions game and sort of I saw a headline from The Athletic on Tuesday morning that was like, Geno Smith for MVP. Why not? Why not Geno? And it was like, everyone has already forgotten about, they didn't score an offensive point against the Niners in week 2. And they only scored 3 collective points in the second half against the Broncos and Falcons. So 8 quarters, half of their season leading into that Lions game, they didn't score an offensive touchdown and only amassed 3 points. So I agree. Geno Smith has outplayed our expectations. He was lights out against the Detroit Lions, but I think let's temper expectations a bit. I think this game in week 5 against the Saints will be a much better litmus test of maybe how, we can expect this offense to play. But I think it was important. You saw him push the ball downfield more in week 4 than he did in weeks 1 through 3. DK Metcalf, 7 catches for 149 with the explosives there. That's what we're accustomed to seeing from DK Metcalf. That's playing to his strengths rather than, the 7-yard targets in traffic, contested, 6 yards in a cloud of dust, so to speak, with no yaks there. That was much more like what we're expecting from the Seahawks, but we'll see what it's like going forward.
And certainly scary moment when DK Metcalf got carted off, and then turns out he just had to go to the bathroom.
And screw
the clinch walk wouldn't have made it.
And screw the guys who reported that he got carted off. For those of us who didn't see the video, like that's fucked up. Geno Smith 80-1 in the MVP race now, which is top 20, which is pretty awesome for him. Also, a little bit of hot take, but them going down the field to DK shows that at a minimum, Pete Carroll and this offensive staff is listening to smart people, even if they're outside the building, which tells me, could Russell Wilson have been part of the problem in Seattle? I don't know.
You compare Geno and Russell's numbers. Geno is certainly statistically outplaying Russell Wilson, which I did not see that coming. Right now, the NFC West, all 4 teams 2-2.
Yeah.
If you look at the division odds over on WynnBET, 49ers are the favorite at +110. Rams at +120. Arizona Cardinals all the way back to +675.
Really?
And your Seahawks 20-1. What is your? Do you have any thoughts on where there might be some value in this NFC West? It's. I don't know. Whenever it's close, I'm always going to lean dog. But what's your take?
No, there's no value on the Seahawks there. To me, it's the Niners are the class of the division. I think as long as you can avoid the Jimmy Garoppolo backbreaking turnovers, which is not a guarantee on a week-to-week basis, and they're going to lose some painful games because of those. That's just who he is. Like bad Jimmy's never going away.
Well, yeah, I saw a great.
But you saw how good that defense is on Monday night. I mean, they're one of the best in football.
They're dominant, and I saw a great stat. It was Jimmy G is 10-1 when not throwing an interception. So it's like, dude, just don't. And even the stuff that he almost threw a couple, like that great Debo catch was kind of close to being an interception. He missed a couple open guys, but overall I could see why 49ers fans, you're like, our defense is so good.
Yeah.
If he was just a little bit more accurate, we would be awesome. But the guy just wins games. It's really just a classic. He doesn't pass the eye test all the time. He misses some throws, but at the end of the day, he wins games. Like, I don't know if Trey Lance wins that game Monday night.
Well, honestly, like looking at hearing you say the odds, taking my Cardinals random bias aside, we're going to think it's silly in a couple of weeks that they were the same odds as the Rams. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not super high on this Rams team.
Is sliding down the scene in Bond when he's sliding down like the satellite. That's the Rams right now. They're just, nothing's going to stop this collapse because it's 100% Matt Stafford. Like, I know he didn't directly lose them the game last week, but
wow, that pick 6. I mean, and I think we kind of nailed it coming into the season. It felt like they brought together this super team. To your point, Ryan, almost like an action movie for one last job. They got it done, and then it's just like it's so hard to repeat. So many things have to go right for this Rams team, and Stafford doesn't look the same.
D-Hop's only a couple weeks away, though. I'll throw that out there.
And the Cardinals are completely, and they're going back to their weird Cardinals ways, where they've won. I think.
How were they 2-2?
They've won 10 of their last road games, and they've lost 7 of their last home games, home against the Eagles. And I will be at that game, so hopefully that streak continues.
Well, yeah, I think it's like Cliff's like something crazy, like 12 in a row against non-playoff teams or something.
Very,
like
very weird team. What's we're gonna get to some Thursday night props. Before we do that, Joe, what's your biggest surprise so far in the NFL? Whether it be a team, a player, just kind of the league as a whole. Is there something that jumps out at you?
Besides
like
Daniel Jones, obviously.
Besides Daniel Jones being awesome, is there anything jumping out at you where like I did not see this coming preseason?
Yeah, I think I am a little surprised how bad the Rams have looked. I mean, they've played 4 games and they've gotten boat raced in 2 of them.
Yeah,
which is not what you expect to see from the defending champs, who even in the offseason, I don't think you looked at that roster and said, oh, they got markedly better. But even you lose Von Miller, that hurts, but didn't feel like they would get markedly worse either. And my goodness, I mean, Allen Robinson and Matthew Stafford both look completely washed.
Yeah.
So that would be a surprise to me. I was surprised to see the Raiders get off to a 1-3 start because I was an idiot and bought into them early, and they lost me money in weeks 2 and 3. Chargers sort of same deal. I mean, I believed in the Jaguars, but you're going to get your ass kicked at home by the Jags. Like Justin Herbert's like bottom third of the league in terms of average depth of target. I mean, everything is short and intermediate. They're not pushing the ball downfield at all. That's surprising to me. So I would say those are some of the teams that that I would say. And then probably Dallas being able to weather the storm without Dak, I think has been a huge early season surprise. I thought their season was over when he got hurt. And so, yeah, I think those I would say is the mix of surprises for me.
Sorry, Joe, we don't allow anyone to compliment on the Cowboys on the show.
That's fair. That's fair. That's on me. Hand up.
I mean, the twist.
The Falcons would be another surprise. They've been
don't get Ryan started about his Falcons. This guy hasn't shut up about the Falcons, and they're 4-0 against the spread.
Should I remind Joe I have Atlanta to win the division plus 2800?
He's the only person you haven't personally reminded yet about that AFC South bet. And hey, look out if the Texans take down the Jags.
They're only one out.
They're right back in the mix. We got some long shot stuff on the Texans.
I haven't talked about this publicly, but I do have a Giants Falcons Texans parlay. The $100 plays 72 grand. So they all have to win the division. Stay tuned for week 17 when I'm sweating it out.
All right, we got let's talk a little props. Thursday night game.
Ooh.
We got the Texans and not the Texans, Colts.
Horses versus horses.
Yeah, I know. I was a little thrown off there. We got the Colts.
Battle of the ponies.
Yeah, Colts at the Broncos. Right now, WynnBET has the Colts catching 3 plus 100, Broncos -3 minus 120. I'm gonna be on the Broncos here. Spoiler alert. Just looking to fade this Texans team. But Kramer,
Colts,
we'll let you
keep calling them. We like the Texans.
I like
we don't
the
like the Colts. Come on, Sean.
What do you got? What do you got for your first player prop?
All right, so I looked high and low for a Matt Ryan fumble prop because the way he's fumbling. We were watching the game on a side screen and it's just like all of a sudden you see him. He looks like he's on an amusement park ride. Is like the guy that's passed out on the roller coaster. His arms are flailing and somehow the ball falls out. Couldn't find one anywhere. So what I'll do, I'll play the under on the passing yards, 234.5. Funny enough, there are some places dangling a rush or pass and rush yard prop for Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan to go under his passing yard prop. He's gone under this prop in 2 out of 4 games, and the games he's gone over, it's taken these magical needed comebacks against the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans, 2 teams who don't have the best passing defense. Now you look at the Denver Broncos. What are they good at? Stopping the pass. I think Matt Ryan's going to have a long game. The altitude's going to get to him. His old muscles are going to be cramping up. He's going to get tossed around like a rag doll. And I just don't see a world where 234 he doesn't go over 234.5. So
yeah,
under.
I'm with you. I'm going to take, I'm also down to fade Matt Ryan. I'm going to go Matt Ryan over 0.5 interceptions. This guy's just, he's finding the other team. And whether it's tip balls, misreads, they don't have Jonathan Taylor for this game. I think that's gonna anything they could get going with the play action, even getting him involved in the passing game. That's no longer going to be there. I think they're going to be pretty predictable on offense, and I think you got Patrick Surtain and guys like that that could jump some routes and get some picks. I think he's just going to see a ton of pressure, and
he's throwing a pick in 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah, so this feels pretty good. And the price is close to even money, like minus 110, minus 120.
What are we doing?
So Matt Ryan to throw an interception felt pretty good. What about you, Joe? What do you got?
Yeah, I love both of those. Matt Ryan, I didn't think he would be an MVP candidate, but I thought pretty confidently he'd be at least a semi upgrade over Carson Wentz. And my goodness, he has been terrible again.
Yeah.
For the conversation we just had about Matthew Stafford, the same could be said about Matt Ryan. He just looks beyond cooked. Statue in the pocket and the turnover machine. 8 fumbles so far and 5 interceptions. Brutal. So yeah, any turnover prop you can find on Matt Ryan, I would take the over. Basically a correlation with what Ryan said, the under passing yards. I also like the under on whatever number you're finding for Michael Pittman. Getting the Patrick Surtain treatment on Thursday night, I think leads me to believe that he will be under there. But then I think you can also go over with Alec Pierce. He's gotten extra usage each and every week. He is their clear number 2 guy, and you can find that number probably in the mid 30s, depending on where you're looking. And I think he's a big play guy, tons of speed. All it takes is probably 2 catches for him to get there, because he probably has 1 explosive in there. I would lean Alec Pierce on the over and Michael Pittman on the under.
Oh yeah, I like that little correlation.
Do you go receptions or receiving yards for Pittman on the under?
I would go receiving yards because the volume might be there in short spurts. Like it's probably 4.5, 5.
Some check down stuff.
For receptions.
I think it might even be 5.5.
It's 5.5.
But he could get that
over 5.5 and even money. But he could go easily 6 catches for 35 yards.
Yeah,
and super doable for Michael Pittman. Where with Alec Pierce, I'd go over the yards and ditch the reception total.
I mean, for reference, like he's on the field 15 more snaps than Paris Campbell, number 2. So running more routes. It's just hard to fade Pittman in the volume stuff. But yeah, I think the yards make sense. Pierce up to 17 routes run last week. So stay tuned for that.
What do you got? What do you got, Ryan?
What do I got? Well, Russell Wilson, I kind of have a feeling this could be a let Russ cook game. Indy's been horrible against the pass. Specifically, they've been horrible against number ones. And so I'm going to take, and I'll just throw these both out at the same time, but Russell Wilson to go over the passing touchdowns. It's plus 155 for him to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I do think we have a little bit of an explosion. It's kind of been it quietly happened, but week 1 he did go for 340. So I think a big game is in the range of outcomes, and specifically in this matchup, I like what they could do. Courtland Sutton to go over the 63.5 receiving yards. Russ to go over the 1.5 passing touchdowns. Again, plus 155 on the passing touchdowns one seems silly.
Yeah,
so a little correlated there, but it does seem like a matchup where they could really, Javonte Williams goes down. Maybe they reshuffle some stuff and they see what it can look like for them to be a pass first attack. Judy Sutton healthy, so let's play that and stay tuned for the build a bet because I kind of similar game theory here, and the price is massive, so massive payout coming.
I'm with you. I think Russell Wilson has a great matchup, and to your point, I'm going passing yards,
and we love Russ too.
Yeah, and I think again,
let's ride, baby.
Yeah, Joe's coming on the show. Joe, Seattle guy. He secretly loves Russ.
You gotta like secretly. You gotta like Russ. I mean, is he a weirdo? Yeah, sure, but
ever since he had that press conference when he lost to the Falcons and he said we will be back, and they won the Super Bowl, cashing our 15-1 ticket. Sean,
the video of him talking about his sandwich, is that odd? Sure,
yes,
but does he have a bounce back game against this Colts team? Yes. Russell Wilson over 225.5 passing yards. That is like comically low.
Slower than Matt Ryan.
Yeah, it's slower than Matt Ryan. And to your point, Ryan, he had 340 against Seattle. He had 237 last week against the Raiders, a game which the offense didn't look particularly great. His numbers ended up looking pretty good, but he got 237 against them. Now, no Javonte Williams. I think it's going to force them to throw a little bit more, and I think they're favorable matchups. Like you said, Indy is 27th in pass DVOA. So Russell Wilson over 225.5 passing yards. That feels pretty good. What about you, Joe? What else you got for some props?
Yeah, so I've looked around. I haven't seen anything yet in terms of rushing props, but I already lean. I haven't even seen the number. I'm guessing it'll be around 40, 45. I want to lean Melvin Gordon under rushing yards. I think you look at Indianapolis, they rank second defensively in net yards allowed per rush attempt. For me, Melvin Gordon's already got 4 fumbles. I think they're going to give Mike Boone a shot. They just signed Latavius Murray off of the Saints practice squad. To me, it's not going to be the Melvin Gordon show unless he gets out to a super hot start, which I just don't anticipate. Denver hasn't run the ball all that well. When they've gone to Gordon, it's been, to me, Javonte Williams is the better guy. So I also lean Denver's passing game as the more prominent producer here for Denver's offense. And that means an under for Melvin Gordon's rushing prop, whatever it ends up being, if it's north of 45.
Yeah. And to your point, I think the casual people will be betting this up because it's like, oh no, Javonte Williams, they got to give it to Melvin Gordon. But to your point, they were already involving Boone a decent amount.
Love Boone.
Before Javonte Williams. I think if you're looking for
first
an over,
touchdown loading,
over or some of those other props, Boone could be a pretty interesting play. And I like the fade of Melvin Gordon there. My last prop.
Oh, and real quick, Latavius Murray straight up. Like if the Saints had won that game, they won because of Latavius Murray. So nice signing by the Broncos here. I mean, honestly, like he could get involved.
I'm surprised. Why did the Saints let him go?
They put him back on the practice squad and he got signed to it. I mean,
that was crazy. He played really well in that.
He's an opportunity guy.
For me, and I think these, anytime you've been playing these over 1.5 field goals in primetime games, I want to do a deep dive on it, but I feel like both kickers have been cashing these pretty well because we've been on a crazy under streak.
Not Robbie Gould
in primetime games. Robbie Gould
POS
missed his, but
went over the extra points like I suggested. But.
Yeah, I'm taking Brandon McManus to over 1.5 field goals. Again, he's got crazy range at elevation. I know they've had some issues of like whether or not to kick the field goal, and any sort of like positive Broncos or Nathaniel Hackett related props are a little bit scary, but I wouldn't be surprised if, again, a couple of these drives stall out. So give me Brandon McManus over 1.5 field goals at home in Denver. Feels like a good spot for him. Kramer?
I've given out 3, but I did actually find a 4th one while we were talking because it kind of relates to the Matt Ryan fumble stuff. You can actually bet for the game over 2.5 turnovers.
Okay.
That's where the over under is. So if Matt Ryan's good for a pick and a fumble, can the Broncos turn the ball over one time? Probably. Melvin Gordon's been fumble rooski. So what we should probably suggest an over here. Matt Ryan's playing in the game. You take the turnover over. I'll leave that one dangling.
All right.
So if you're into that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. No, any sort of prop bets you can find on Matt Ryan blowing this game or turning the ball over, 100% in on. And now time for everyone's favorite. Time to build their own bets. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. Get your same game parlay going. Joe, since you're the guest, I will give you the honor. What do you got for a Wynn build your own bet for Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, real quick, one last prop for me. I guess two last props. If you're looking at longest completion, Matt Ryan's is set longer than Russell Wilson's, which is confusing to me. 36.5 yards. Give me the under on that, and I'll take the over on Russell Wilson's at 35.5. Deep balls are the name of his game, so I like the under on Matt Ryan's 36.5, over 35.5 yards for Russell Wilson's longest completion. I'm playing it safe here in the build your best bet. It's all players I've already talked about or have been discussed. In fading Michael Pittman, I like Mo Alley Cox, who just had a big game in week 4. Only 15 yards I'm asking for, just 15 yards from him, and 40 plus yards from Alec Pierce, and then 50 from Courtland Sutton and 35 from Jerry Jeudy. Very modest, very safe. Still 5-1, which is decently juicy. That's my build your own bet with 4 receivers, and I think a pass happy game with 2 good run defenses.
Yeah.
Can I go next?
Sure. Right.
Mine's exciting. I like that one. And sometimes I build these ones where I'm like, that's still 5-1. I mean, that's still like a 13-point dog. We should still feel good about that, but not big enough. All right. So I said, hey, it kind of feels like Russ could go off here. So I took a look at the Seattle game just to get a reference point for what we could be dealing with. He threw for 340 yards in that game. So I said, you know what? Let's go to the top of the board. Russ to go more than 305 passing yards. We're going to go to the top of the board.
300 passing yards.
305 or more.
Okay.
90 or more receiving yards from Courtland Sutton.
Sutton is this guy. Okay.
70 again, 32nd in DVOA against number 1 receivers. The Colts are. And then we're going to go 75 or more yards for Jeudy, who seems to be catching a deep target. Like if anyone's going to catch that over 35.5 for Russ, I feel like it's going to be Jeudy. Those 3 outcomes combined with the Broncos minus 13.5 because they're winning in a blowout in this version of the game, 70-1.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I almost added Colts under 20.5 points because they haven't gone north of that number all season.
Yeah.
Felt a little risky with the blowout prediction. So I stuck to the 70-1. It was juicy enough. It feels realistic, right?
No. And now I feel like I feel like my win bet is so tiny compared to yours, Ryan. Yeah. But similar logic. Playing you
didn't use power tools this week.
Playing a Denver Broncos blowout. I'm taking Denver minus 13.5. I'm taking Denver to win both halves of the game. Okay. And I'm taking Denver Russell Wilson over 280 yards. That's 20-1.
Wow. Okay.
Let's go. That feels very nice. Very doable. Obviously,
my favorite part of the build your own bet segment is us telling each other how we feel like these are really good value bets.
Like after I'm done creating this, I go, I can't imagine a world where this doesn't hit. It's like 20-1, 40-1. But what's
funny is like you mentioned the Colts not getting to the 20.5. I mean, the Broncos hadn't scored 20 points until last week against the Raiders. They scored the garbage time touchdown,
and they scored it in the loss.
But you're right. All those are locks. All of those. 75-1. You've never made easier money.
And we haven't even talked. Shaq Leonard is out.
Yep.
And I mentioned earlier, but Jonathan Taylor out as well for the Colts. So again, fading the Colts team total, that also feels really good. Hey, Joe, appreciate you calling in. Make sure you check out all of Joe's great WynnBET content over at Joe_Fann, FANN with 2 N's over on Twitter. Anything else you want to toss out, Joe?
No, just great to chat with you guys. You guys always do great work, and it's fun to chop it up again and talk ball.
Hell yeah. Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah. No, I was going to talk a little shit about UW, but UCLA, UCLA. I don't know.
We were on the Bruins there. Are you big?
Just hitting you at the Seattle.
Are you a big Washington State guy, or are you University of Washington?
No, I'm the Huskies. Huskies and then Gonzaga basketball are my collegiate allegiances.
Oh, okay, nice.
Go Cougs.
Yeah, we're Washington State guys from when Mike Leach invited us up there.
Coach.
Wave the flag, baby. Wave the flag.
Once a Coug, always a Coug.
Penix looks good though. We'll see how the rest of the season treats him. All right, Joe. Appreciate you calling in, and best of luck with the win. Build your own bet. Let it ride.
See you, fellas.
Cheers.
Thanks again to Joe Fann. Taking a quick break to talk about the Elias Game Plan app. If you haven't downloaded already, I don't know what you're waiting for. Tons of great nuggets for betting and for fantasy for the National Football League. They also, once I signed up, I got this Elias daily briefing, some great nuggets here, including the Colts. They have been slow starters in 2022. They've been outscored in the first half of each game this season, entering the half with an average deficit of 10.5 points. In their 2 road games, they have been outscored in the first half by an average of 12 points. Again, so I like the Colts to lose both halves. And again, I got that information from the Elias Game Plan app. You need to download the Elias Game Plan app and use our promo code SGPN25. Get 25% off your first month when you choose the monthly subscription. That's the Elias Game Plan app. Promo code SGPN25 to get 25% off your monthly subscription. We're also brought to you by PromoGuide.us. It is the best place to go if you're interested in plus EV betting strategies. They got daily updates on odd boosts and huge cash bonuses from all the major sportsbooks, and they got a VIP Discord group that puts even deeper plus EV analytics right at your fingertips. I got to say, we've been looking at their daily promo updates, and they're some of the most informative in the game. They don't simply tell you what team is probable to win, but where you'll get the best odds and how to track down and cash in big on constantly changing promotions. If you're not already using mathematical models to help you with your picks, you're missing out on an insanely valuable tool. And the best part of all is that Promo Guide is run by a small team of passionate sports fans dedicated to building a well-informed, better betting community. Go to PromoGuide.us and check out their 100% tracked, transparent, and proven method for betting smarter. So make sure you check out PromoGuide.us. Last but not least, No House Advantage. Again, No House Advantage is so much fun. If you like DFS, and obviously you do, that's why you're listening to this podcast. It's DFS, but instead of player stats, it's player props. So you're just building a DFS lineup with over and unders. And it's great that you can work in unders as well. Cause some weeks I'm like, I really want to fade this guy. You can't really fade a guy in normal DFS. You can in No House Advantage. You have a shot at winning $250,000 in cash. I mean, come on.
Yes, sir.
What more do you want? Plus, they have a ton of sports besides NFL, MMA, NASCAR, NBA, PGA. They got it all. And if you go to nohouseadvantage.com, use the promo code SGPN, you get a first deposit match up to $25. That's nohouseadvantage.com, promo code SGPN. Joining us on the line, you know him from Dynasty Dorks and the SGPN Fantasy team, Mr. Dave Heilman. What's happening, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's I cannot believe it's week 5. This season is absolutely flying, and our Giants are just winning. They're gonna win it all, man. They're so good.
Colby was shedding a tear realizing it was week 6 in college football. You got to chuckle with you saying that. It is that point. It
is Ryan's line. He's always like, "Can you believe it's already week 5? Man, the time's flying by."
I'm such an old guy.
What's the biggest thing you're right on coming into the season, fantasy football, that so far you're like, "Yep, nailed it." What's your big tout so far?
Well, my bold prediction was Saquon Barkley is comeback player of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Smart.
So,
Smart play.
I'll take that one.
It's looking pretty good right now. What would you say?
I tried to ask Sean earlier in the office who the number 1 pick in fantasy football is next year, and he refused to answer because he knows it's Saquon Barkley.
Well, we'll see. Long season for Saquon. What's the biggest miss for you that you felt like, man, how am I so wrong about?
Besides
this guy?
Kyle Pitts, I assume that you were wrong about Kyle Pitts, like everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, in my ranking, I was wrong, Kyle Pitts, but he was so high that I have 0. I will have 1 share in a dynasty league, but I don't have like, hardly any Kyle Pitts. The Eckler and CMC teams. So ironically, I traded Eckler in both teams before last week. So he's an older running back. I was like, just give me a first and Khalil Herbert, and we'll be done. And then he goes bananas.
He goes nuclear.
Did in 2 leagues.
Oh no, I like the commitment to the angle. Oh. I mean, not that you asked me how I'm doing, Sean, but I was looking at all my high stakes stuff, and everything that doesn't have Kyle Pitts on it is fucking awesome. That's how my season's
Kyle
going.
Pitts really is just the ultimate anchor.
Real quick, fuck you if you were pro Kyle Pitts this offseason and you got your virus into my brain. Like, it makes sense. I was the guy in the draft process that said, "Screw you, gold jacket talent. This guy's not going to be anything special."
Ryan was very anti Kyle Pitts and then came around on him this past year. I think we drafted him in our high stakes ETH league, but not even like overdrafted him. I think we had him in like the 5th round.
It's just annoying that we drafted him now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I'll take another victory lap at Chris Olave.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I was, reading the reception perception from Matt Harmon and was like, I got to get this guy. And I traded Justin Fields in a super flex league. And a lot of these guys are just like, oh man, I can't believe that guy just got Justin Fields for nothing. And I was like, I got Justin Fields for the 6th pick last year. I just swapped him for Olave. I wanted more Olave, and I think Fields stinks. But it is what it is. So I might remind them of that this week and just throw some screenshots. So like,
certainly Justin Fields isn't helping you.
If you're in the fantasy community and you're anti Justin Fields, you are the minority. You have to be careful that you're not going to get burned somewhere because
we're not hearing
hot
from these
take
people.
over here with me. It's funny because the fans are picking up on it, but I tiptoe around the fact that he's just a slow processor, so I don't offend anybody. I don't want to offend anyone of these, just like you, Sean. These Justin Fields sympathists.
No, I thought he was gonna. He showed flashes
slow processor
last year, and then this year he's looked bad. I mean, also they're going out of their way not to let him throw the ball. So I don't know.
They're scared.
I don't know what else.
Happen.
I don't. You got to give him some opportunity to grow in an offense. So they're really not doing him any favors.
Soccer mom.
No,
this email got sent.
He sucks. He's not playing well. What else? I'm saying he's playing shitty, but they're not even letting him get. They're not even giving him a chance to really.
Apology
try.
accepted.
I started this. So
thank you, Dave. Last but not, why should people, if they're not into dynasty already in fantasy, why should they hop in? Like, sell people on a dynasty league.
Yeah, like if you've played Madden before and then you were like, "Oh, franchise mode is awesome," like that's what it is. So like if your team's 0-4, 0-5, and you're 0-4 right now, you just lost Javonte Williams, you're pretty much like just your redraft's done. And so for dynasty, it's like, okay, cool. Like the rebuild begins. And so you can have a whole lot of fun doing that. So when you're winning, you're winning. And when you're losing, you can be winning as well.
Yeah, I like that. If you're losing, the season's not completely over because you're looking ahead towards next season, making some moves, keeps you interested.
I could see being the asshole that's tilting the balance of the league. Let me call the number 1 and number 2 teams. Who's willing to offer this bigger prize?
Just completely blow your team up and then leave after the end of the season.
We are in a dynasty league. Full disclosure.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I was going to say I'm not in any dynasty.
And
leagues.
all off season, I've been so proud to be collecting. I already have an extra 1st rounder next year.
Yeah.
I got an extra 2nd rounder next year. Still have Carson Wentz.
How's our team doing overall?
It's horrible. We
won one.
I think we have one win. It's
okay.
It's the only reason I log into sleep, right? We're old guys over here.
All right.
Oh no, we're 0-4. I'm sorry.
Oh, we are. All right.
We need to give this team to someone else.
Yes. If you want to take over our league in our SGPN dynasty, hit us up at Gambling Podcast. All right, we'll recap what happened last week in the Millie Maker and then give out our lineups. Of course, it seems like the winner had Geno Smith, Austin Eckler, Jamal Williams, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Josh Reynolds, TJ Hawkinson, Josh Jacobs, Eagles defense. So essentially, he just had like an onslaught of everyone in the Seattle Detroit game, and then Eckler and
didn't he
Josh
do
Jacobs.
Everything wrong?
Well,
Three running backs
is not plus EV, Ryan. And then I guess he just went all. You can play a onslaught lineup. I never do it, but I guess if you were gonna do it, this would be the week to do it because of the weather and because of the fact that Detroit's defense is so horrible.
You're only doing it if you have 150 lineups, right? You're not playing that as your only lineup, are you?
I don't know. Like I could say the case for it would be, again, there was shitty weather everywhere, and this game was in a dome with Detroit's defense, which is just obviously pretty shitty. And he didn't even have Rashad Penny. How did he win this by going all in on Seattle and Detroit without having Rashad Penny? What are your thoughts, Dave, on this? Do you ever do these onslaught lineup builds?
Yeah, I mean, you want to look for the implied totals because that's going to tell you where the fantasy production is going to be. If you got the Giants and the Bears, there's not a whole lot of fantasy production, and pretty much one or two guys soaks it all up. But I definitely would have been all over Baltimore and Buffalo, and he was more contrarian and went with that. And it's two bad defenses, but the offenses were underrated. Now they're kind of on the map, so you'll probably see a lot more exposure to those teams this week.
Yeah, and I honestly I think just in general, I was thinking about this as I was building my lineup, Sean. I'm always trying to be thoughtful. I wonder if this is going to create an uptick of people playing crazy fucking lineups this week, because that you're not winning. How often have we discussed a winning lineup that looked like that?
No, it feels pretty outliery because you're having like double.
Because all the things hit, like the Hawkinson hit and Reynolds hit and Williams hit and Penny hit and Metcalf hit. It just no one weird hit.
You need to have. First off, you need to pick the right game, obviously, but then you need to have that game be. This was the highest scoring game of the season. So you need to have that happen, and then also not have a lot of the other games be high scoring as well. So it's like you're increasing the level of difficulty. I'm not a big fan of those.
Wait, was the winning lineup Goff or Geno?
Geno.
Here's the crazy fucking part. I did have a Geno lineup.
Yeah.
Not 250 points.
You were only seven spots off from winning $1 million, right?
I was 7v7 away from $1 million.
What was your? I don't know how he didn't have Rashad Penny in. That's crazy. Because I had that. My best lineup was the one I gave out in the show. I had to update it on the pregame show because I had Goff and then Penny in the bring back, Hawkinson, and then I had I think I went Khalif Raymond.
You picked the wrong.
I went Khalif Raymond so I could get in Stephon Diggs, which obviously should have just stuck with Reynolds and punted somewhere else. All right, let's get to it. Let's start talking Week 5 DFS. Kramer, I will give you the honors. Who is your quarterback this week?
It's a weird week for quarterbacks. I know you laugh when I say this, but all right. So once again, I think you can pay up for Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen. You can be like, I will certainly.
I will tweet out my Jalen Hurts lineup because obviously I'm going to that game. I'm going to be playing a Jalen Hurts lineup. I won't subject the listeners to listening to an entire show about it.
He got outscored by Danny Dimes last week.
But the lineup is, come on, right? It's Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Zach Ertz bring back. I'll get to the rest of the lineup later. I'll tweet it out, but just so you know, I do have a Hurts lineup.
So I actually I was kind of fiddling around trying to find a different way to play this week, and I landed on Tom Brady. I don't know how massively he'll be owned because of his price tag. It little concerning. He's only $6K, but with Godwin back, I think we can. Especially with Brake getting hurt, I don't know what the situation is there, but we could see those targets narrow up to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Maybe helps the build. So
Julio's getting involved too.
Julio you'd be surprised. He got nicked up again, but yeah, 2 catches on 7 targets. He's also, I guess, an option, but considering the price tag, considering the game against Atlanta
at home,
considering how I think Atlanta's going to have to play to try to be successful against Tampa,
they might have to throw the ball
and Tom Brady dealing with some the field news that is not positive, which means Tom Brady on the field will be fully erect and fucking the Atlanta Falcons hard.
Last time he lost 3 games in a row, you have to go back to 2002. That's insane.
Here's the troubling part. The Atlanta Falcons, who I have to win the division, are tied right now. This is for everything. Yeah, 6K Tom Brady.
All right.
In the quarterback spot.
What about you, Dave? What do you got for quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, we're not at tight end yet, but you're not going to spend a whole lot of money at tight end, so you can pay up a little bit at quarterback. So I like both those options, but I felt like Herbert is someone that people are going to be lesser owned, and only at 7K. I'm going to go with Herbert on this one.
Yeah, that was my second choice this week. I made a Herbert. My Herbert lineup was actually my highest scoring lineup last week, and again, I think Dave's onto something with. I think he might get missed. I think people will either play down a little further and get cute, or they'll just go right to the top of the board this week. I like Justin. I think the Browns too. I think it kind of creates some interesting bringbacks for you.
Yeah, it's a 7,100. My bad.
Yeah. No, Herbert again seems like he's a little bit healthier. Got some passing game stuff going to Eckler going as well.
Road Chargers too.
Road Chargers, that is where they thrive, of course. For me, coming off a horrible game, but against one of the best defenses in the league in shitty weather, you expect a bounce back spot at home. Trevor Lawrence,
Goldilocks.
Trevor Lawrence, $5,600 against this Houston Texans defense, who, kind of not the defense not as good as I had hoped. They seem to be falling apart a little bit, and I think this is a nice bounce back spot for Trevor Lawrence. Like, he had some guys open, just couldn't put it together. I don't think Houston's going to be able to put the pressure on him that the Eagles were, and it seems like he's been playing better at home. So Trevor Lawrence, and he's only 5,600, gives you a lot of opportunities to do a bunch of other stuff down the line. So give me Trevor Lawrence.
I like the spot as well. Jacksonville, Houston's a fun game to get involved with stacking this week.
Yeah. What do you got, Ryan? Who's your first running back?
We'll roll out a Justin Fuente era Hokie. He transferred in, so he wasn't a true Hokie, but Khalil Herbert.
Yes.
He's coming off a slightly inefficient game, 19 carries, 77 yards, still 4.1 yards a carry, only 1 target. Didn't score though, obviously facing the vaunted Giants defense. Divisional game in the spaceship. He's the best thing they got going, Sean. And as much as I hate the Bears, I like the Bears' opportunity to get some business done in this matchup. Specifically, this Vikings defense, Sean, adjusted line yards. You know what that means. How far are they pushing the other team down the field? Bottom 7 in the National Football League. So I think the Bears. It's actually a positive matchup for them.
Look at Latavius Murray. He went off
downhill.
Yeah, and they're coming from the game in England. I think that's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, they opted out of the bye,
which I feel like
we'll have to check in with CJ on the dad logic there. If that's no rest after the road trip out to London.
I'm also on Khalil Herbert, 5,900.
Oh, wow.
Feels like a lock here. Good spot for him. What about you, Dave? What do you got? Who's your first running back?
Yeah, looking at a lot of the lineups from the last few winners, a lot of them went like anchor RB. So I want to pay up a little bit for one person. And again, I'm trying to get someone that's potentially lower than 20% ownership. Dalvin Cook is coming off a couple down weeks. He gets the Bears, 24th ranked opponent. Giants, Daniel Jones ran all over them. They were leaky all over the outsides. Dalvin Cook right here, 7,300.
In one of my lineups where I played a cheap quarterback, I think I might stack this running back game like I did Detroit and Seattle last week. I think there's opportunity there just because of the massive volume.
Now, what about Dalvin Cook dealing with? He's again constantly plagued by injuries. Where are you at with his health? Are you worried about his injury status at all?
Yeah, I mean you're definitely going to have that worry. It was not a complete dislocation like originally reported. It was a slight dislocation, so I think he'll be okay. I know Alexander Madison is there. I hope between now and Sunday he gets traded to the Broncos. But
that would be sweet.
It'd be awesome. But yeah, I felt like this was someone that people again are going to try to avoid, and that's kind of what I was trying to do with some of my picks.
Yeah, it's finding that balance of like getting contrarian without getting too cute, and completely missing on guys that are just straight up dog and are going to produce for you.
Dalvin Cook, even with the strap on his shoulder, 44 snaps to 28 for Madison. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be overly worried. It's Dalvin Cook at home, right? We haven't seen him show out yet.
Yeah. Next
RB2 for me.
Yeah. What do you got?
Jeff Wilson. They're playing Carolina on the road. Negative, the positive game script feels likely. Matt Rule still coaching, so maybe this is going to be the game. He gets walked out of town by Baker, the sheriff. Look, he had 18 carries for 74 yards. Another story like Herbert's, where he got a lot of work. He didn't necessarily do a ton with it, right? If not for that one long touchdown run, he really didn't do much at all. So I like him to have a bounce back spot here against a team that, we've seen them be a little leaky to teams on the ground, and specifically, they lost the locker room. If he's lost the locker room and they still haven't fired him, Sean, what happens after you lose to Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray?
Yeah. No, I mean, so, it's all downhill.
Quick game, Jeff. I really was excited. Jeff Wilson actually started because I started my lineup by putting the Niners defense in. I have since backed off of it. I think they might actually be popular, even though they're expensive. Because, boy, I mean, the way they turned over Matt Stafford last week.
No, and they're scoring. Yeah.
So anyway, that's how it got me to Jeff Wilson. I stuck with Jeff Wilson, even though I lost the defense. 5,500.
Yeah, I certainly don't mind that play. Dave, what do you got? Who's your second running back?
Yeah, I was gonna go with Jeff Wilson. I went with Breece Hall. Breece Hall has been getting a lot more work. You're seeing his snap percentage going up 45%, 27%, 51. Last week was the highest at 66%, and he had 17 rushing attempts, which doubles what he had the week before. He's a bell cow, and so in all your fantasy lineups, you need to go pick him up. He's a buy now, but he scored a touchdown last week, and then he has the upside if they do involve him in the passing game. Michael Carter got nicked up on a play. If he gets involved in the pass, he had 6 targets last week. If he connects on some of those, he's got a boom week.
Yeah, I like it. And again, he's kind of interesting because it's like him and Michael Carter. But to your point,
the graph is working in his favor.
No, it seems to be trending in the Breece Hall direction.
And I scoffed at his 16 yard receiving prop last week, and we lost. They only got 12, but 6 targets. Come on, man.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Bring that home.
All right, now I was going back and forth between Raheem Mostert and Rachaad White. I landed on Rachaad White, and maybe really? I'm getting a little cute, but he seems to be involved more in the passing game. Now, maybe that was just a fluke because of the game script and because they got behind, but it seems like they're going out of their way to get him involved. 5 catches on 5 targets for 50 yards. He's the kind of guy that could really win you a bunch of money.
You remember what they called him in the offseason, in the preseason? During training camp, he was referred to as the new James White. Yeah.
And again,
if he turns into Tom Brady's little handy check down engine,
look out. And maybe he needs some stability. He's going through a rocky time in his life. What's better than a check down running back to help you through some tough times? Dave, what do you think about Rachaad White this week?
Yeah, he's one play away from a massive opportunity. They're using Leonard Fournette quite a bit. And so the high percentage of snaps is a high likelihood of injury. So it could happen at any play. And then Rachaad White goes in there and he's the top dog on a very, very nice offense. And he's compared to David Johnson a lot coming out of the draft class. And Bruce Arians, had something to do with him getting picked up. I mean, this guy, 1,000 yards rushing, had over 800 yards receiving. He's a beast.
He's legitimately a part of the passing game, or at least was last week.
He's a big Raz score guy.
Mostert maybe the safer play because he definitely will have a role. But I think Rachaad White in a GPP.
I think you got real cute there.
You think this is too? What would you do, Dave? Should I go back to Mostert?
I just with Teddy Bridgewater, they might run a little bit, but that's going to be a less efficient offense.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Rachaad White in here and just go for the boom.
Boom! You hear that, Ryan? Boom goes the dynamite. Same with my lineup.
I guess I was about to make a comment about how maybe it could be a contrarian way to play the Dolphins this week until I realized I'm probably the only one who already has locked in a Teddy Bridgewater lineup.
Yeah, that's the contrarian way to play it, right?
Before the show, I go, Sean, I'm not going to use the Teddy Bridgewater lineup on air.
That's too hot for TV.
All right, stack number 1.
Yeah,
6,900 fits just nice. Mike Evans. I mean, we saw it last. Well, he just catches fucking touchdowns. 10 targets, no big deal. Again, consolidation of targets here.
His anytime touchdown, you should just be betting it every week. I think he's had like 32 games and have a passing touchdown in 30 of them or something crazy like that.
He's clearly, and he's just like that game last night or Sunday night really highlighted how big and physical he is.
Yeah.
He's just a large man, and we should never, ever, ever forget this dude got Johnny Football drafted. Like that's how good he was at Texas A&M. He got Johnny Football 6,900 stacked up with Tom Brady. Dave, who's your first receiver?
I did the stack. I got Mike Williams, 7,100, the same as his quarterback. Talking about big physical guys. Another one. Just looked dominant the last time we saw him play.
Yeah, he's so fun to watch when he's healthy, and no Keenan Allen. I think it sounds like Keenan Allen might be out.
Sounded like
he re-aggravated that hamstring on Friday last week. It just does not sound good for him playing.
That's so rare for this Chargers franchise to have random injury setbacks or just unfortunate luck plaguing them through that. Who could have seen this coming if not for the fact that it happens every fucking year where the Chargers look so good, so much talent, and then oh no, wait, these what's going on?
It's hot. Herbert? It's hot over there on injury prognostication island, Sean.
I've been pretty hot. I said Christian McCaffrey wouldn't get hurt this season. He was out for 2 days. Didn't stop him. Played a decent game.
So positive.
Thank you. My stack. You got to go Christian Kirk again. He's not facing, one of the best cornerback trios in the league. He's at home against the Texans, 6,600. Christian Kirk seems his guy. I don't know what to make of the Agnew role last week. That I'm still trying to figure out why Jamal Agnew was like their main receiver, their main running back. Dave, any insight as to why? I mean, because it seemed like they really like James Robinson. I don't know if he cursed out Doug Peterson on the plane ride. Like I can't figure out why Jamal Agnew was so involved in the passing game. And I don't know. James Robinson was seeming to get a lot of that. It's weird.
Yeah, Zay Jones was out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has something to do with it. Last year when Agnew played, he was their number one receiver the 5 weeks that he played.
Yeah,
and so they've liked him before. I know it's a new regime. And just random stat: Doug Peterson, if he wins this weekend against Houston, is the 5th all time on the all time winningest head coach in Jacksonville history with 3 wins.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Shout out Benjamin Albright. But
that's a great stat.
I actually got Agnew coming up in my lineup here. He's a cheap play, and that offense should be really good. They're the 4th most implied, fifth most implied points is Jacksonville. 4th is Philly. 3rd is Tampa. 2 is Kansas City. 1 is Buffalo.
Now, what do you mean by implied points? Is that something tied to team totals or?
Yeah, so you're looking at like the total for the entire game, and then you're just saying like, all right, Buffalo is a 5-point favorite, so they got that share of the total. So Buffalo is projected for 31. KC, who's not on this slate, is 29. Tampa 28. Philly 27.5, and then Jacksonville 26.25 points.
Like it. Deep analytics.
Agnew played 18 snaps. He ran 14 or 15 routes, and he got 6 targets.
No, I know. Like
they clearly have very special. They have plays that they practice specifically to get him the ball,
and they were close. I mean, when they were up 14-0, he was open.
Reminds me a little of like a Devin Hester or who was the return man for the Chiefs? Percy Harvin, good example. Dante Hall, the human joystick, where they have these guys who are athletic but probably don't run the best routes, and so they bring him in for these gimmick plays. I don't know. It's strange because I even looked week 3, he only had 14 snaps, but just felt like he was massively part of the game plan last week.
Ryan, before we get to the rest of the lineup, shout out to Trade Coffee. You know, cranking out content is just a full-time job, and you know what helps you get through cranking all that content and also consuming a bunch of content. Caffeine, baby. My choice, my drug of choice when it comes to caffeine, of course, is delicious Trade coffee. Again, start off my day with some Trade coffee. Get it in the nice grinder, ready to go on my alarm, and then in the afternoon, I switch to Trade coffee cold brew. It's really easy to make your own cold brew. Highly recommend doing it. And the caffeine is off the charts if you're a maniac like myself. And again, I love the fact that the coffee is like personalized to your taste. It's such a great feeling when I walk by the mailbox and I can smell those freshly roasted beans like through the mailbox. That's how good the smell is, how powerful it is. And again, Trade coffee, whatever kind of coffee you like, grind, whole bean, whatever it is, whatever flavor, they got you covered. You start off with the coffee quiz. They match it to your specific taste, and then you're off and running. So if you want to support a small business and brew the best cup of coffee you've ever made at home, it's time to try Trade coffee. Right now, Trade is offering our listeners a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping. All you got to do is go to drinktrade.com/SGP. That's drinktrade.com/SGP for $30 off your subscription of the best coffees in the country. Last but not least, Odds Trader. That's right. Odds Trader is your one-stop shop when it comes to sports gambling. You want to compare live odds. You want player injuries, play-by-play updates, handicapping data, bet tracking information, projected game day weather. Odds Trader has you covered. All you got to do is go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. Odds Trader, the #1 site for all your game day bets. oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. Kramer, before we get to your second receiver, also shout out the SGPN fantasy guys are giving away a DeAndre Swift autographed jersey, or a DeAndre Swift jersey, and it is autographed. Yes, okay. And a $50 credit to the SGPN merch store. Head over to Twitter at SGPN Fantasy to get all the details.
I like that. And by the way, going back to Trade coffee, we should give them a note.
Yes.
Liquid nose beers. You think that would be a great slogan?
All right, I like it. I'll run it by the Trade guys. See if they're
liquid nose. All right, so wide receiver 2.
Yes.
All right, come on, Chris Godwin. We are 5,900. Again, consolidation.
Like what you did there, Ryan.
Consolidation of targets. It does seem like Julio is dealing with something again. And what do we know when things get rough? What does Tom Brady do? He goes to the guys he knows.
Yeah.
And while there's a version of this game where Atlanta stubbornly tries to run the ball and eat the clock, I just don't think they're going to be successful doing that. Tom Brady needs to make a statement. He just got one-upped by fucking Patrick Mahomes while he's going through this rough personal time. Bullshit. TB12 is not going to stand for it. Yeah, Godwin 5,900, cheapest he'll be the rest of the season.
Yeah. No, it's hard to argue with Godwin, and he looks like he's healthy. So I think that's a good play. Dave, what about you?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
I was able to pay up, and actually, my most expensive receiver is Deebo Samuel.
Nice.
7,700. He gets Carolina, and Carolina is just awful. We hope to see, as anyone that likes Carolina hopes that Matt Rule doesn't make it past halftime. Baker looks awful. Deebo, they're going to be all over them. So I just expect a huge Deebo game. And it's Carolina. Deebo's from Carolina.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. That's a good nugget. And I do think the defense could put the offense into some very good positions, like getting some turnovers, and not scoring touchdowns. I think is like a great spot, because then they can get some nice, easy small drives for Deebo. I mean, his run after the catch is insane. And he showcased that on Monday night. Speaking of Monday night, Cooper Kupp went off. I'm taking him again at home against the Dallas Cowboys. It's just like any game situation, he's going to be involved. If the Rams are driving, cool. If the Rams are behind, cool. Cooper Kupp. If it's like a neutral game script, still going to get Cooper Kupp. And I think the Rams back-to-back weeks without an offensive touchdown. I think Cooper Kupp is due. And he's played better at home. He has all 3 touchdowns come at home, where he's had 29 targets, 24 catches in just 2 home games. So you're paying up for him, but I think this is I don't even know if he's going to be chalky. Maybe he will be. Maybe people are high on the Dallas team, but what do you think his ownership would be?
He's 700 more than any other player. If you remove Justin Jefferson, he's north of he's 1,100 more than McCaffrey. He's, to the point of we often you get expensive to be different. I'm sure he'll still carry some ownership, but it makes it hard to, when you're taking 10K off the top, it does make it hard.
Well, I mean, and that's that's going with Trevor Lawrence, going to a cheaper quarterback, you got to fill it up with some big dogs like Cooper Kupp.
Because that's another one. I guess the counter to the counter would be Higbee and Kupp have gotten so many targets. It's an easy double stack. So maybe it is, and it's not.
But is anyone? I feel like people are going to be hesitant to play Matt Stafford, so I don't think they will be double stacking that game.
Maybe you're right.
And
maybe it's just lots of naked Kupp.
I don't know. Yeah, Kupp singles.
We were watching the game at home, and I looked over to the wife, and I was like, they were showing just like Cooper Kupp kind of like from a side angle, a little bit like that Wolfman. And I go, picture that guy in a Grateful Dead t-shirt. He's the best wide receiver in the NFL. And she just had this, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful man. All right. What are we on? Third?
Yeah. Third receiver.
All right. So I think you got to cash in on this, even though it might be a little chalky. We've been wanting to see what Pickens is going to look like with his quarterback. Kenny Pickett's in there now. We've gotten the full blown announcement that he will be the starter going forward.
Oh, okay.
George Pickens, he received 8 targets, ended up with 6 catches, 102 yards. He's just a different kind of receiver. Why Mitchell Trubisky wasn't able to throw him the ball is beyond me. And when you look at what this offense has to offer, I understand that the offensive line is subpar, but they have a fantasy, like everyone loved Najee Harris. I understand the injury, but even Jaylen Warren looks fun. But then they have Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and George Pickens, who looks like an absolute alpha.
Yeah, he does.
He should continue to have opportunities because you're not putting your top coverage on George Pickens. And I do think Kenny Pickett
not afraid to put the ball up in the air,
which means he's going to give him shots. So 4,300, he's very cheap. It does create a fun game stack environment with Buffalo, who tends to force everyone to score points, and so we will have a Kenny Pickett lineup this weekend. But for this lineup, give me George Pickens for 4,300. Dave,
I actually have George Pickens as well.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, nice.
So I did put George Pickens in for a lot of the same reasons. I've been doing the dork report every week and doing doing a progress report off of each rookie. And looking at his air yards, looking at his targets and opportunity. Like in fantasy football, you don't chase points. You chase the things that can indicate future success. And that is targets, air yards, targets per route run. Everything screams George Pickens is going to be good. It's just Mitch Trubisky was holding him back. He had like 300 yards passing in 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks. I tweeted out like Pickett is going to play soon, earlier, like before Sun even started.
Yeah, and it's kind of a bummer they didn't plan it better because they did have that long week going into the game last week where they could have given him more reps. I guess whatever, it worked out. Because at the end of the day, at least, I worry that Pickett's just not that good, but at least he's going to try. Like Trubisky was playing like he didn't want to lose the job. And
Pickett he's also a slow processor.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes, but I'd rather have a guy willing to take a shot than Trubisky, who's just, full blown pussy. He was playing the position and not lose the position, which ironically lost him the position.
Yeah, he wasn't a willing runner. Like the few things you liked about Mitch Trubisky, he wasn't doing.
And you have Deontay Johnson, who just gets open. You have Chase Claypool, who can go up and grab a ball with anyone, and George Pickens, who looks like he might be able to do both. How you were not able to work, and Freiermuth, who's a monster of a man, like how you weren't able to work this out, beyond me. All right, where are we at?
We are on my third receiver. Okay. He is my bring back. Give me Nico Collins, 4,100 against the Jags. This is he had a decent, actually his best game of the year against the Chargers last week. If you look at it, he's only 8 yards behind Brandon Cooks in receiving yards, and he has 15 less targets and 9 less catches. You want to talk about air yards? He's almost neck and neck with Brandon Cooks as well. Like he's right there. And I do think the Jags are susceptible to the deep ball. I know we didn't get to see much of it against the Eagles because I think the wind and the rain really made that kind of a different type of game. I know the Eagles wanted to get some deep shots on them. Just weather wasn't permitting, but I think Nico Collins maybe gets something deep. He had 3 catches for 82 yards. He is one of the few guys besides Damian Pierce just breaking one that has big playability on this Houston team. And I think there's going to be opportunities against the Jags.
I would love someone to go back at least a couple years and just take an inventory of every time we use a guy in a roster. And Nico Collins is creeping his way up in your all time.
Well, he's a hard guy not to put in because he's cheap. He's gonna get some looks. He's gonna get a couple deep shots.
And we're way too high on the Houston Texans.
Well, yeah, and we have a soft spot for the Houston Texans.
Come on, Pep, coach up Davis Mills.
Going back to the implied point totals, Carolina's the lowest. They don't have New England and Detroit, but I believe New England's probably going to be down there. Carolina's the lowest. Pittsburgh second. Giants are third. Giants could be starting like Jake from State Farm this weekend. Like Tyler Taylor might be have a concussion. Dale Jones likely out. They were working out AJ McCarron and
that's a good sign.
AJ McCarron and Jake Fromm. They're about to go to London.
Sounds like Davis.
Houston Texans are the 5th lowest.
Oh no.
5th lowest. Yeah.
Well, they defy the odds. I mean, let's not forget they were 35-1 to win their division, and they're only 2 games back. So
what are they now to win the division? I think they're like 25. Probably it's still like a decent. It's still a good CLV.
They haven't won a game, and their odds have gotten better.
That's insane. Yeah. No, I'm not loading up on Houston, but I do think if the Jacksonville game pops a little bit, you're going to need someone on that Houston side. And I'm going Nico Collins.
So in the game stacks that I've done from that game, I have gone Cooks and Kirk, but you make me think I should at least have a tiny bit of.
Well, because I think
this could be the Nico.
Cooks is like 2,000 more, and you look at the production; it's almost neck and neck.
Yeah, I do like how Dave politely tried to tell us not to do it, and we just plowed right through it. We're like, we'll have the Texans. All right, tight end.
Yes. What do you got, Ryan?
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. All right, so I so badly wanted to not play this bring back and play Drake London, but I couldn't do it with George Pickens. I couldn't make it work. So Kyle Pitts.
Oh my God,
let's fucking go. They're gonna have. All right, here's the logic. All right, they're gonna have to pass this game. I think Tampa's gonna force them into a game that we haven't seen, which means pass. I think we could see something a little closer to their Seattle game where he got 8 targets. I still don't know who else sees targets, especially with Patterson out. It's going to be very narrow on Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Yes, I will be playing a Mariota lineup. I do think Tampa drags them along for a little bit of a ride here. And we've seen when they need to, they have scored some points. The fucking nerds, give the nerds a week. Right, we're gonna hear about how many routes he's run, all this great stuff. That let Kyle Pitts have a good game, so I can trade him in leagues where he's tradable. He's the obvious bring back here. We're correlating the tight end in again. I need this to happen. Kyle Pitts 4,400. All right, that felt good. Dave, who's your tight end?
4,400 for him.
I mean, what else am I gonna do, Sean?
Yeah,
I was gonna.
I actually had $100 left, and I could have went double tight end instead of Pickens. Thought about it.
No.
But I went with TJ Hawkinson riding the big week last week. If Amon-Ra misses again, you're just going to see a whole lot of Hawk. They're going against New England. This is a winnable game for Detroit, but New England always finds a way to keep it interesting, and that'll be enough passing to get Hawkinson. In these lineups, the top tight end has been a huge part of these winning lineups.
Yeah, you really and with the gap too, it does seem like the surefire volume. Like as Sean jokingly commented on my price of Pitts, he does stand out in that. You go down the list. I mean, Kittle seems egregiously priced as if they don't realize he's going to be blocking a lot more. Hawkinson, top of the board. Ertz, he's got a nice volume. Even Goddard, it's a consistent volume, but it's low. Higbee, the volume's there. Everett, it's a little bit of a question mark, and Freiermuth has had decent in joke. Other than that, it's a crapshoot, and even those guys, like once you get past the top guys, like no one's locking in more than 6 or 7 targets. All right.
Yeah.
Sean,
For me, I'm going Zach Ertz, $4,800. He's just, it's a revenge game. This is the first time he's playing the Eagles as a member of the Arizona Cardinals. The Eagles' strength is on their outside cornerbacks. I think if you can attack the Eagles in the air, it's in the passing game. Like there were some opportunities Irv Smith had that he just dropped some balls. I think they're going to go out of their way to get Zach Ertz going in the red zone as well. Every once in a while, the Jonathan Gannon system, like you have Hassan Reddick or Brandon Graham, like guys who are pass rushers dropping back, trying to guard a tight end. It just never works. And I think Zach Ertz he's the guy I'm most worried about on their offense. He's no yak Zach, so you don't have to worry about the yards after the catch, but this is a target, volume, and a touchdown play. Give me Zach Ertz, 4,800.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to like it, but I actually think the top 2 targets on Arizona are both like strange matchups for the Eagles.
But you also thought Christian Kirk was going to roast us, Ron.
That was weird. Yeah. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it was the weather. The weather's an excuse for some things.
Avante Maddox was out.
Yeah. It's just a weird game. Goldilocks looked horrible. Yeah. I don't think that was a Christian Kirk wasn't getting open. We'll have to watch the all 22.
All right. We'll grind it.
In fairness, we haven't watched the tape yet. Sean has not watched the tape yet. So we shouldn't be commenting on these types of things. Flex spot. Sean, I saved some money and he's coming off kind of a dud, cause you played him. Stephon Diggs, 8,400 stacked up with George Pickens here. I think his ownership will be a bit down this week, both because the projection, like the game projections here are probably going to draw people to playing Singletary. I've actually kind of, while we've done the show here, talked myself in the idea of a Josh Allen Diggs lineup might actually not be super chalky, even though all he does is win people money. But yeah, Diggs in the flex, 8,400. I was looking around at the various games to kind of circle as like I want to rotate my lineups around stacks from these couple games. It's not a great week for finding games that really stand out to me as like they're going to produce points and it's not obvious. So I think this is one that could produce more points than we think. Right, we're getting a fresh looking offense because there is a new quarterback, and we're getting a Buffalo team that seems to, no matter how they want to play, will play fast and pass the shit out of the ball. So and score points. So I think. Like I've ended up playing more like versions of this, like Freiermuth with Gabe Davis, one of the receivers with Diggs. I don't know, 8,400 Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, no, I mean I guess the only thing that's concerning
coming
is
off
like,
a 6 target game.
Yeah, I don't know the spread.
No, but that's why I think I think in a 14-point spread in a version of the game where they cover big, Josh Allen could still put up 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, you compare it to the last time they were a double-digit favorite against the Titans, and they lit them up. Probably, Titans are a better version of the Steelers, and Diggs had a massive, massive game.
I almost like the Steelers to be able to, with my optimism around Kenny Pickett. Maybe they can at least.
Well, I think they could. I think they could get some garbage time stuff. And again,
we're not going to see Mason Rudolph at the end of this one.
Knock on wood, unless I could see Kenny Pickett get knocked out of the game.
That was a Malik Willis comment more than anything else.
Dave, what about you? Who's in your flex spot?
We talked about earlier, Jamal Agnew. Jaguars do have a high implied total. I do think Zay Jones misses. Evan Ingram has really not done anything. And all that stuff that was going to Zay Jones, it looks like it could be going towards Agnew. And so I went with him for he's 3,600, pretty cheap.
That's how you win $1 million, right, Sean? Sean knows something about almost winning $1 million.
Yeah, and Agnew, there's 2 ways to play it. It's like 1, that was the Jamal Agnew game, or 2, they got close to the Jamal Agnew game, and this is the Jamal Agnew game. You know what I mean? Like they showed that this guy can get open. I could see Doug P going like, "Hey, we got to get this guy the ball. He's getting open." He had some good looks, so yeah.
Doug P does kind of seem
so
like
cheap.
you earn your way onto the field. So maybe it's like he clearly made them better.
I mean, honestly, at $3,600, tell me a guy who you could make a stronger case for at home in the flex position.
This year's been harder than I feel like I remember in terms of dumpster diving.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
really
like,
hard to dumpster
Scotty.
dive.
I mean, here are you who you comparing in the 3,600 range? You know, Scotty Miller, Kendrick Bourne,
Ooh.
Khalif Raymond.
Okay.
Again, it's like some of these
Kyle
guys.
Phillips.
Cole Beasley at 3,900. He's always exciting. All right, for my flex position, $6,000. Give me skinny Batman himself, Devonta Smith. Hold on, costume change.
This is great. I mean, the fact that you ordered a Batman mask.
Let's go. It's the new dog mask.
Let's make sure people can see it.
It's the new dog mask. Batman
makes you look angry.
It does look. I'll say this: Batman does look weird with a beard. I can see why he goes clean shaven.
Yeah.
The mask beard look a little tough to pull off.
Maybe a black beard. Maybe it's the contrast.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I want to put a bunch of black face
what is
paint
the
on
Batman
my face.
reference? Is it because he has no actual superpowers, Devonta Smith, or is
no,
it because he's a nerd who likes gadgets?
It's because they have 3 Batmans on the team.
Oh wow!
They have Swole Batman, AJ Brown, Skinny Batman, aka me, Devonta Smith, and then Fast Batman, aka Quez Watkins. Batman
what?
didn't get any targets last week.
What, they had a nickname, and then the other 2 guys got upset, so they made 2 more nicknames.
No, it's cool that everyone is a Batman. Ryan, it kind of is, it's a nice take on the thing. Everyone can be a Batman. Jason Kelsey is Fat Batman. It's the new dog mask.
Is Homer
you can breathe
still on the board?
Homer?
Yeah, is he still on the board over there? I feel like if we asked Homer Simpson about this, he might be wanting to check in.
Devonta Smith, $6,000. I think this is just a perfect environment for the passing game. Last week it was all about getting Miles Sanders going, the running game, the defense against this Arizona defense at home. Jalen Hurts is going to be able to throw all over them in that controlled dome environment. I think they're in trouble. I mean, their defense is bad against the pass, and especially at home. I think they light them up, but yeah, I think Devonta Smith, keep an eye. He went out of the game for a little bit with a back thing, came back into the game. So not super worried, but keep an eye on the injury report.
Long travel in the dry area of Arizona. I don't know. The East Coast guys, they might not be good should be good for his back, but maybe I don't know.
He's not Batman, Ryan. He's Batman. Let's go, baby. The utility belt to take down the Arizona Cardinals.
Disgusting. All right. So I stacked my defense with Herbert. Give me the Bears against Kirk Cousins.
I'm also on the Bears defense.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck. Does that mean it's going to be a popular defense?
No, I don't think so. It's a road defense. I mean, it's only $2,300, and when you're playing defenses, you should just be punting.
And you know what happened last week? Robert Quinn got absolutely shut down by Andrew Thomas, best left tackle in the National Football League. He's going to want to eat.
I think Kirk Cousins is actually going to try to attempt the forward pass, unlike the Giants.
Oh wow!
And so I think that will create opportunities.
Is Kirk Cousins going to run for 2? Didn't think so.
Probably not. No,
didn't think so. Dan Jones.
I'm on the Bears. The defense is the strength of the team. It's one of the few things they do right. They're able to pressure the passer, and it's a division game. I could see them getting up for this. So $2,300. I mean, again, you're kind of punting at defense there. The only other $2,400 for the Steelers defense. I don't know. I guess you would talk yourself into Josh Allen creating some turnovers there.
So I'm playing. I mean, just the other defenses I've played this week. So Niners, like I said, it's expensive, but it pairs nicely with Jeff Wilson. And I think you're going to have to, if you're going to punt, the other way to punt would probably be to play, as much as I hate to say it, Atlanta. Like, it wouldn't work well with this stack lineup, but the version of this where Tom Brady is, they have another game where they're struggling.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to play it in this one because I have Trevor Lawrence, but Houston defense maybe. But again, that's on the road.
Who you got, Dave?
What do you got for a defense?
It was either Seattle or Dallas, both 2,500. About what I had to spend left, and so I went Dallas. Matthew Stafford, we saw Monday. 8 pick sixes since 2020. The next closest is 3 guys are tied with 4.
Whoa!
So, you could still see a huge Cooper Kupp game, and Trayvon Diggs gives up 200 yards passing, but he takes one to the house. You also have the offensive line is awful, and the Dallas defensive line is good. So I just think the Dallas defense line does exactly the same as San Francisco and creates a lot of commotion back there, which could cause some big points.
That does seem like they're I mean, not that I would play the Cowboys, Sean, but they do seem very cheap.
That is a disgusting act.
Well, and especially, maybe somewhat home field environment for them. They're able to rush the passer. That Rams offensive line to me is just not the same without Whitworth.
Let me ask you this, Sean. If you were in a fantasy matchup, high stakes fantasy matchup, and you were down 18.9 points, and all you had left was San Francisco's defense,
I'd like my
against
chances.
Matt Stafford, what would you set your odds at? Because I set him at 6-1 before the matchup started.
I mean, I would say this. It's probably what was San Francisco's defense's anytime touchdown. I think that was like 350, 400. Those are probably closer to the true odds, but I would say that's still a great comeback.
And for the way it happened, I mean, Stafford is a point factory right now for the defense going against.
No, I know.
What did we
Dave brought up an unfortunate number of good points for the Dallas Cowboys.
What was the price we gave out on Stafford most interceptions on the season?
It was like 18-1.
Oh.
And he right now he's
running away with it. You just got to stay healthy. Please stay healthy, Matt.
Well, and he's not going to get benched for poor play. They're going to let him run it out. The problem is all of a sudden his elbow or back is going to flare up once he hits like double-digit interceptions.
Doesn't want to set any records here.
Dave, appreciate you calling in. Where can people catch you?
Yeah, you can find all my work at Sports Gambling Podcast Network. If you go to at Dynasty Dorks on TikTok, and then on Twitter at Dynasty Dorks, any fantasy football or dynasty questions, hit me up.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's literally your DMs are probably a lot like mine. Nothing.
Starter sit.
Nothing hot or heavy, but
Pick one.
Who am I starting in my?
They
second
don't even
flex?
say hello. It's just like, what do I do here?
Yeah, it's your 27th guy versus 28th guy, and you better get it right.
Yeah, just open up with some conversation. Hey, Dave, big fan of the show. Like the podcast. By the way, could you help me out here?
Small talk goes a long way.
Yeah. Leave a nice rating and review, screenshot it, click the contest tab in the SGPN app and submit it for a chance to win $100 every $100 gift certificate every Monday, aka Merch Monday.
And youtube.com/sports gambling podcast, where I forgot Sean has been wearing a Batman mask for the last couple minutes.
I'm closing it out in the Batman mask.
Check that out. That's available there.
And of course, check out at SGPN Fantasy on Twitter for how to win your autographed DeAndre Swift jersey.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
Sean, Kyle Pitts week.
Kramer, let it ride.